Hello friends, happy Sunday afternoon. I ran some errands and then I came up just to piddle in my craft room and thought I'd film. Are you interested in seeing the oldest work in progress, I think, in the history of mankind? Needlepoint. I went digging in the basement to see. I knew I had a tub that had some old needlepoint from years ago, and I found it, and I thought I should probably either get rid of it or work on it. So thought I'd share. So this is a needlepoint I clearly started. It's got, the back is a complete disaster. I don't know that I did this. My daughter maybe did it as a child, or maybe I just didn't know. But anyway, it's bananas. I'm not going to blame it on my daughter. I just probably got crazy and just had long floats. But anyway, it is a beautiful canvas, and it's all done. The flowers are with Pearl Cotton 3, which I don't love, but it is shiny. And I think our idea was, let me back up. My mother-in-law owned a needlepoint shop when my husband and I met. I actually met my husband because I was taking knitting lessons at what would become my mother-in-law's shop. So it was knitting and needlepoint and cross stitch. And so that's how I met him. I was taking knitting lessons. I came home for the summer from college, decided I wanted to take knitting lessons, and that's how I met my mother-in-law and my husband. And so she was the one that taught me to needlepoint many years ago, and so we would often kit something together. I cost her a lot of money back in the day, but we kitted this with pearl cotton, and we liked the idea of the shine against the matte of a wool background. And so I do have some fibers that I will pull, but anyway, I just wanted to share. Do you want to see the date? Because I guess I got excited and put my initials in it, and the date, 1993. I had my first child in 1994. So I think that was why the end of my needlepoint era, but I'm back in it now. So I've got to decide whether I should just go ahead and proceed with this canvas. I think I'm going to, because I love violets and I use them in decorating quite a bit. This is so funny because this was right when the Waverly fabric violet came out and everybody had it, it was wallpaper and decorator fabric and all of that stuff. And so somebody obviously painted a canvas inspired by. But here's my little bag of fibers that I found that goes with this. And I think, I'm pretty sure that I was using DMC tapestry wool on the background. I just did a couple of stitches and it looks like it matches. So I had this one little skein of tapestry wool in the bag, in this little Ziploc bag. So I think that's what was on the background. What's also funny and intriguing is that when I pulled out this DMC, this is how I used to do it. I would cut it and then braid it, and then you could pull a strand out. But it doesn't even have barcode stickers on. I have a few full skeins, and it was before it was even barcoded. So barcodes existed then, but I don't think DMC was barcoding their fiber at that point. So I am going to pick this up. I'm going to see if I can make some progress on it. And I've been looking for a larger mesh project to work on. I see that the canvas is discolored. I've run into this when I have pulled out some of this old needlepoint, but I think it's good enough, and I will just see how that goes. So I'm going to keep working on it, and I think it would be a hoot to say 1993 and then 2025 or 2026 whenever I get this done. So it's part of its history, and I will keep that in there. Okay, so then the other canvas that I found at the same time is this one. So this was also in that tub. It's a hand painted with these cherries. I used to really be into cherries, Mary Englebright, all of that. So again, I'm not going to focus on this one right now. I'm going to just stick to the violets, but I'm going to file this away. And I did have the bag of fibers for this one as well. And we use this, it used to be, we called it Paternalian, I don't know, but they don't even make this anymore. This is now Colonial, I think works. But here's one of the DMC, with no barcode on it. Isn't that a hoot? Okay, so that is what I found. So I'm going to work on that. I did hit up an estate sale today and found a couple of little things. So just some little thimbles that, that I just thought were sweet. And I do use thimbles occasionally. And this one I thought was probably brass, and I got them for $1 a piece. So I'll do those. And then I got this little bag of brass charms. It was $2, but it was 50% off day. And I thought I could just make some little stitch markers out of those for $1. So I picked that up. And I think that's it. We'll call it a day with that probably. And I might film a little bit later. Somebody did ask to see the gallery wall in my craft room, so I might do that. We've got a few minutes left and the light is not great, but I'll do that real quick. All right, stand by. Okay, the glare is kind of bad, but I will show. So this is my huge TV. Sorry, that's kind of in the way, but this is my wedding sampler that I stitched back in 1990 when we got married. And it's got just different linen stitches. And again, my mother-in-law had a needlepoint and cross-stitch shop. So this came out of her shop, and I've always adored it. And I did find the pattern again a few years ago in case I ever want to make another one, which is a good reminder because I do have children getting married. I don't know that they would really want that. But, all right, this is an old print. And most importantly, I have a friend whose daughter makes these collages. Isn't that amazing? And so I bought that from her. And I just think it's so amazing. She's so creative. And she made it on the back. She just recycles things and cuts up magazines and makes these collages. And so I just think it's amazing. So that's up there. And then this is just an old print. And then these are my hands. There was a knitting convention, and they had a photographer that would come and take pictures of your hands while you knit. And I just thought that was so neat. So that's me. This is an old print from the thrift store. It just reminds me of my childhood. And then I've always wanted a crown. And so I found that at a thrift store, at an estate sale, and just bought it and put it up there because I was prom queen in high school, but we didn't get a crown. So that's always bit me out of shape. So that is another sampler that I made back in 1990 when we were first married. And that's me and some friends, some older ladies that I used to go to their house and knit with. And we had a tea party. And so that's us. This is just some little dried flower pictures that I got at an estate sale. This is the moon. I was into watercolor. I broke my wrist a few years ago and got into watercoloring. And that was one of the first things that I did. And I love the moon and the moon phases, so I framed it. That's just a little an embroidery piece that I bought. This is also a sampler that I just bought, but it was so funny because she had my same initials and I just couldn't leave that behind. This is a little doll that I made. I made several of my friends these little dolls several years ago, and so I made one for myself. I'll show you. So this is her. It's a little bumblebee, and she goes in this little flower cocoon. So she goes in there. I always say she's going in there for nap time. So this is a pattern by Susan B. Anderson, and it's adorable. I bought a kit. Okay, and this is just leftovers of all of my balls of yarn that I've knitted over the years. And then this is complete wreck. This is just where I stash all my junk. And this is also junky. But I do have DMC cabinets. Again, when my mother-in-law, her shop closed, this has been amazing to have storage. So I have all of my stuff. And I apologize. The rest of this is a mess. I do keep all of my junk journal stuff in this briefcase. And these are all finished needlepoint stuff that I need to deal with. And then my vintage needlepoint books that I talked about. And then I have a collection of Alexandra Stoddard books. I've got them spread across the house as well. I read one of her books in college, and she was really transformative, I think, for me. And so I just collect them when I find them. Okay, I'm out of time. I appreciate you coming along, and I'll end in a good picture. Thanks. Have a good day.